Good morning. So it's another week and it's officially a new month. So we're into February and I'm kind of proud of myself for actually keeping going with these videos. I know in the first one I said I'd do them every week, but I feel like every other week is a more sustainable routine for me. So I'm going to try and stick with the 2 weeks. And I know in the last video I said I'd be showing you what I've been doing on this new project for a client. But I think I'm going to leave that one for a little bit and I'm actually going to show you a personal project of mine. Some of you watching will have probably seen this, especially if you follow me on LinkedIn. I've shared this project quite a lot over the past few years, bits and pieces that I've been working on. But last year I didn't really do anything with it. So for context, it's a recipe website called Stryve. And I designed and built this in 2021, I think it was. I think I put it live in August of 21. So it's solid 4 years old. It's not my first time trying to make a recipe website. I actually tried to make one in 2017. And that was called Kitchen Pal. And I actually built something and I launched it. But it's funny when you go back all those years, I remember from a design perspective, I'd focused too much on this design aesthetic and not what's actually practical of putting content out. So I think I had different aspect ratio, portrait and landscape that I needed for a recipe, which just a barrier to entry for uploading content. And then when I built it, I had to manually calculate the nutrition for every recipe. So with Stryve, when I redid that, I kept it consistent. I made sure that images were always the same aspect ratio. So I'd never need to shoot more than one image. It'd be used on listings, it'd be used on the recipe and everywhere else. And then with recipes, I essentially put the nutritional information on ingredients, which could be reused from recipe to recipe. So once you build up that library of ingredients, it's made releasing recipes a lot quicker. But the reason I didn't actually do much with it in 2025 was when I started it, it was all based on plant-based recipes. And I've not been eating a plant-based diet for well over a year now. So when it came to adding recipes, I just wasn't creating that much content around what was going on the site. I kind of just grew tired of eating chickpeas and all this. So I incorporated fish and meat back into my diet. And that's essentially what I did this Sunday. So I sat down and went through, I just had a look at the designs that I'd created for this. Bearing in mind it goes back to 2021. So this is 4 to 5 years old now. And the designs are still like it. I've tweaked it over the years and not loads has changed. But yeah, on Sunday I sat down and I'm it'd be nice to bring this back. And as much as I'd love to really focus on growing this into something that I could earn an income off of, it's a lot of work. I think until you actually start a project like this and actually launch it and put it out into the world, you realize all these features that you want to add, none of it really matters. You really need to get people to come to it and visit your site and continuously go into it to actually build any traction with it. So what I'm going to do is I've brought it back. I've pivoted it away from plant-based recipes. So I'll be including things out of meat and fish and all that stuff into it. And I'm just going to upload recipes. I'm not focusing on turning this into something that drives a ton of traffic. I'm really just doing it for myself at the minute. So I have a place to go for all those recipes that I make every week, because the main thing I wanted to do on this project was really make the cooking experience good. Because if you've ever been to a cooking website, there's that massive story before you get to a recipe, there's adverts everywhere, and I just didn't want that. So this is very to the point. It's here's the picture, here's what it is, nutritional information, cooking steps, ingredients, and I've built in a cooking mode. I'll show you all of that in a moment. But yeah, I'll quickly spin you around and show you, I guess, what I designed first and now what I've put live. And then, yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so I am currently just in Figma and I'm showing you essentially the recipe listing page here. And it's funny because I took a lot of these pictures in, I don't know, June last year. So obviously I had the intention of like pivoting away, and then I just didn't. So yeah, here's some of the recipes, and I'll show you what some of the older photos look like. I wouldn't say these are perfect, but I think they're a lot better, like the closer up. My brother said to me, he's like, you should probably try and take closer up pictures so you can see kind of what the food looks like. So that's what I've done here, and I honestly think it looks a lot better. But yeah, this is a listing page. And if I just go into the designs, like these are the new designs that I put together. And one thing that I guess I've not mentioned is a lot of what I wanted to do with Stryve was bring in sort of the environmental impact of food, and also I guess the tech behind it. So one thing I did was I contacted this company called My Emissions, and they essentially calculate the nutritional impact of a meal based on the ingredients that go into it. And that's what I've done here. Like, I'm calling that out, and I'm also like calling out how many plants are in a recipe, because plant diversity in your diet sort of helps with your overall gut health and that sort of stuff. So I still want to keep running with those two, even though I'm adding meat into this, and meat has higher emissions than just plants. But I think it's still a nice contrast to actually have and bring awareness, because there's a lot of people who do want to do more for the environment. Whether that just means being more conscious of the fact of how many emissions are in something, or cutting back on a little bit. So I'll still be flagging that. And then also here, like how many emissions were sort of emitted from this page. And that's using, what's it called? Website Carbon, I believe it's called, something like that. But it's getting that from there. But as you can see, the recipe page is very just, if you've seen many others, you know what they're like with the big message and everything. You've got to scroll through an eternity to get to it. But yeah, this is this page, and also like there's a carbon rating badge off the back of that for My Emissions. But I'll show you what I've put live. Like, this is what I now have on the website, and I've started adding some of those recipes. So like here you can see the emissions for this is 2080 approximately, like it's not perfect science. And then also how many plants are in there. And one thing you've not seen is cooking mode, which is this. So I cook using my phone and my laptop, but I've optimized it for both. And essentially you get each step, all the text in big, all the ingredients you need, what utensils you need, and you just go between the steps until you're finished. But my intent with Stryve was I didn't want adverts everywhere, so I tried to use like affiliate marketing by like incorporating links to utensils and things throughout. To be honest, not many people click on these based on what I can track. But, you know, as I mentioned, I kind of want to just bring this back for myself and really just focus these recipes so I can cook them. And this is what I mentioned before, like here's the images previously. They're not bad, but I guess they just, don't know, a bit stale. And also, yeah, I feel like these look warmer, more inviting. Like when I look at that, I want to cook that, versus all of these kind of just look the same. So moving more in this direction. These pictures were taken in summer. This is one I took yesterday, and because it's so much darker, you won't be able to see it here, but there's just, you can tell that a lot of detail's been missed in the photo because of the lighting. So I really need to improve the lighting when I take these pictures. Even though I'm just doing it for myself, I still have a certain attention to detail I always want to bring into the work that I do. So yeah, it's mostly recipes. I also try to incorporate a shop, which, you know, I highlight some of these, like the vitamins that I'm taking, or like protein powders, particular foods, utensils, this sort of thing. But again, this doesn't get a huge amount of traffic. And it's ironic because even the recipes don't get a ton of search traffic, but this blog post doing a review of Planthood, which is essentially a recipe kit, this brings in a lot of my traffic. But it's all about intent. Like, the person's coming here to learn more about Planthood. They're not then going to come off the back of that and start looking at the recipes, really. I mean, some people might, but most of them, they're just trying to find out, like, oh, what is Planthood? Is actually worth buying it? And the short answer is, if you want to know the answer to that question, yes and no. I think my issue with something like a recipe kit is it's expensive if you're the type of person who'll happy go out, figure out what you're going to cook for the week, buy the ingredients and cook it. Planthood's nice in the sense that they do a lot of the hard work, so they'll create the sauces for you, and it's all like healthy ingredients. So if you're the type of person who doesn't really enjoy cooking, you've got money to spare, you want to eat, you know, healthy food that has good quality ingredients in it, I'd recommend something like Planthood. There's also Grubby, which is another recipe kit. This brings in a bit of traffic. The difference here is they don't create any sauces or anything for you, so you're still spending a lot of time cooking, but it is cheaper. And again, with these articles, I wrote these 2-3 years ago. They're still bringing in traffic, even from Google. So not everything's just died off to AI search and everything. But yeah, I think if I really wanted to drive traffic to this site, I'd have to start putting out video content, really on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, which I don't really want to do. And I think this is something a lot of people don't talk about. I'm the kind of person who has a lot of ideas of things I want to do, but there's a finite amount of time, there's a finite amount of resource. Do I think I could actually build this into a profitable business? Yeah. But like, I don't have time to dedicate to it, like to actually make it stand out amongst all the other content creators creating recipe websites or content. Like, you have to make all the videos, you have to really push new content all the time. People have done it, I just don't have the time, especially when trying to build, you know, my freelance business, which if I'm being totally honest, has better potential than something like this anyway. So yeah, it's easy when people, like, even when you look at marketing, you could be like, I want to be on this platform, this one, and write blogs and create videos and write newsletters and everything. But there's only so much you can do, even with AI, which I guess can speed up all of these things. There's always a certain level of quality that I think people are looking for. And even if AI is doing a bunch of the work, you still have to like bring it all together and everything. So maybe in time I'll bring this back and actually try and grow it, but it's very much just going to be for me to cook from. And if you want to maybe follow along on this and cook some of the recipes, I'll put a link in the description to Stryve so you can check it out. But that's pretty much it, I think. It'd be interesting to hear what you think on this sort of side project thing. Have you tried to create any, put them out, try and build them alongside, I guess, a full-time job or growing a freelance business or anything like that? I love cooking and I'll never stop cooking. So for me, this is just a natural side project, but I'd love to make income off of it, but the amount of work that I think I'd have to do that is probably quite a lot. But before I go, I might just show you quickly the old designs that I did for Stryve. So there's the home page, which, if I'm honest, the content probably doesn't speak too much in terms of like I'd say it's talking more features than benefits. Like, what does this platform do to actually benefit you in terms of like healthy recipes, saving time, all that sort of headache. Recipe listing, that's not really changed much. What I do have here is a search filter functionality, which I've not built. I think I'll have to build this in, especially now that AI, I can just do a bit of prompting. I'll be able to sort of implement that quickly, probably. One thing I wanted to do, and this was probably years ago, is like when I had enough content, was essentially build out these programmatic SEO pages. So think of them as search terms, like essentially listings of like people might be searching for overnight oat recipes, and then this just has a ton of them in there. And there could be search terms like overnight oat recipes under 10 minutes, or I'd better search terms than that. But that was the idea. I've just not got the content. And again, if I get enough content, maybe that could work. The recipe page, I changed this up. So as you can see, this was less prominent and this was a different style. I've changed that, but the rest of the recipe page is very much the same. Here's little modals that I created in terms of like emissions, plants, ingredient, giving you some more information in terms of like, what is this ingredient good for? Again, I've not built that. One thing I wanted to do is like figure out a way to implement like what ingredients are in season, but this would require knowing where the person is and, adjusting all of that sort of information, nutritional breakdown, playing with the idea of video content. So as you can see, like this could be really cool. It's just, there's a lot of work involved in like actually creating all the content behind it. Maybe with AI, if I had enough time to like figure it out, it could automate some of this stuff. Like, I don't know, like figuring out ingredient benefits and seasonal information. Because doing all of that manually is just a lot of work. This was cooking mode again. This hasn't changed much. I did actually start working on a voice assistant feature, which was essentially so you could be stood in your kitchen and you wouldn't have to touch your computer. And this was using the voice API. You turn it on and then you could say things like next step and then just go to the next step for you. Then I was doing things like read the instructions, which was using the 11 Labs API. So then I'd generate this text and I'd read it back to you. And also like you could say how many peppers do I need, and I'd tell you how many peppers you need to add. The only thing I found with this was when I built the proof of concept, and this was before AI, so you could probably build a proof of concept fairly quickly now. The response back was slow enough that you'd probably wouldn't use it. Like, unless it's instant almost, it just feels like too much of a barrier. Even if the response is like a second, you kind of think, well, what's happening? Maybe if there's like some sort of sound feedback to be like, I'm listening, I'm thinking, that might soften it and everything. But again, I've not gone down that road. Blogs haven't changed much. Just again, with this, I wanted to create more engaging content instead of just a wall of text. I remember I designed this like 4+ years ago, so yeah, all of this. Shop, again, playing around with different modals for like giving information on a product, an image gallery, videos. And then I was going to play around with the idea of having specific like product review pages to maybe just try and piggyback off the back of like the name of a brand. Like for example, the Plant Hood one brings in a lot of traffic because people know of that. You're sort of piggybacking off of their reputation. But again, it comes down to intent. Books, about, and this little modals and things, newsletter, never got around to this. Tips, again, I was going to try and do cooking tips and things. 404, and I think that was pretty much it. But yeah, it's a cool project. I'd love to work on it more. I just don't have the time in terms of like what I should be focusing on. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear. Do you like the idea of Stryve? Would you consider running with a side project like this? Are you working on any side projects? But in the meantime, I think I'm just going to use it for myself, publish content just for myself, so then I can cook the recipes. And maybe one day I'll have the time to actually really try and push it and grow it. But I think I'm going to keep it there, keep it short. And in the next video, I think I will be showing you the new project that I'm working on, which it's been a week and it feels like we got so much done in that first week. The client loves it. I think it looks amazing. And I think we're going to have a really quick turnaround in terms of the way we're approaching this is very much MVP, but build out what matters the most first, build it and launch it, and then use the existing components we've got to populate the other pages, but then come back and redesign them to fit the content better. But yes, in the next video, I'll hopefully show you some of that.